Hi, this is Billie Beene here with another segment of Truth by Billie Beene, episode 302. Today's date, March 18, 2022. Gene Decode about Romana, Didulo, and Canada. A Ukraine update, and May still looks great. Some of my sources are Gene Decode, Dr. William Mount, Israeli News Live, Stephen Ben-Nun, and others. And I'd like to say thanks, like, subscribe, and share, and thanks for your word of encouragement and support for my channel. And I'd like to say welcome to all 50 states, including Alaska, Hawaii, the First Nations, Cherokee, Navajo, Hopi, Chickasaw, Mohawk, Apache, First Nation, Pitt River in California, Mohegans, Yakama Nation in Washington State, Potawatomi in the Midwest and Oklahoma, Ojibwe Nation in northern Minnesota, a proud people who want peace and justice. Choctaw, Abenaki tribe, Cheyennes, Mashantucket Pequot, Blackfoot in Montana, Spokane, and Coville. We say welcome, and we say welcome to the nations of Canada, England, France, Ireland, Philippines, South Africa, Netherlands, also called Holland, Indonesia, Scotland, Germany, Switzerland, New Zealand, Maldives, Nepal, Norway, Australia, Chile, Thailand, Belgium, Mexico, Brazil, Russia, Panama, Guam, a U.S. territory, Jamaica, an Icelander living in Spain, and other people in Spain, Wales in the UK, Sweden, Italy, Puerto Rico, a U.S. territory, Romania, Bermuda, Bahamas, British territories, Morocco, Argentina, Northern Marianas Island, a U.S. territory, Denmark, Bolivia, Uganda, Iceland, Serbia, Bulgaria, Mauritius, a small island off of Africa, and the most recent, Ukraine. And we say welcome. Let's get started with some news. Okay. Now, I believe that the news is coming to us in different ways and a pattern of release. And this is what I noticed recently with RVK News out of Iceland. He just takes a candy bar out of his shirt, and I'm paying attention to this. What does this mean? And the name of the candy bar is It Set. And what it means is one set. So we'll have to see, what does this relate to in the future? And Israeli News Live, Stephen Ben-Nun, formerly with the CIA, now has a ministry. So Stephen is verifying information that's coming out of Ukraine from Russell, Texas, Bentley. Russell lives in Ukraine now. I'm assuming he's become a citizen. He's married to a Ukrainian woman. Okay. And he lives in Donetsk. Now, what Stephen is saying is the shadow U.S. government has sent in ISIS and Al-Qaeda, and we have other sources for this also, that inside Ukraine there is the regular military for Ukraine, and then there's the Azov group, a right-wing militia, and there are mercenaries. And now the shadow U.S. government, which according to Dr. William Mount is being operated out of Fort McPherson in Atlanta, Georgia, has sent in ISIS and Al-Qaeda terrorists to fight against the Russian people. All right. And their strategy is to target civilians in Mariupol, Odessa, Kiev, Kharkiv, and other areas. That's where they're concentrating now. Okay, Israeli News Live, Stephen Ben-Nun is also verifying the biolabs in Ukraine. I think we're up to 26 to 30 And they were doing gain of function, and that was to target specific genetic groups. And I think it's Dr. William Mount was bringing out, or could have been Gene Decode, a new group. Finnish people, Laplanders, people who live up in the cold areas. That was another group in addition to the Slavic people. All right. And one way they were going to spread, they were looking at spreading the virus, was using migratory birds. Now we know recently inside the U.S., Dr. William Mount brought out this, that possibly something was released from Plum Island off of New York, and we had millions of birds fall dead out of the skies in 3 states, including Delaware. So, all right. Now, here is the propaganda that Stephen Ben-Nun and Russell Bentley and other sources are bringing out. Called white helmets. And this group is actually part of the cabal. And what's coming out is it's like HRC, a false situation that took place in Syria involving sarin gas. We recall that incident. Okay. So now Dr. William Mount, yep, he's bringing this out. Al-Qaeda has gone to, and they have had 5 warheads that had sarin gas in them, like we saw in the Idlib province in northwest Syria a few years ago. Yeah, that was the shadow CIA. And so this is going on. They're bringing this out. So we have mention now of sarin gas and white helmets. The white helmets are not white hats. Okay. So now Regis Tremblay, he is an American expat living in Crimea, and also Regis is a retiree of the Russian government, because he made mention he had to go across the border once a month to get his pension check. So, okay. So now he is interviewing Russell Texas Bentley, who was bringing this out. This would have been last Sunday and Monday from West Ukraine. A ballistic missile was fired into Donetsk, and I'll draw this for you, called a Tochka U. So what happened was, here we have Ukraine. Let's see, we have a peninsula here. This is Odessa, a port city, Crimea. We have Russia over here. This is Donetsk, Luhansk, and this makes up the Donbass region. And they have a People's Republic military made up of the Russian people who live primarily in this area. And we understand in the future, Russia is going to take this part of Ukraine. So, now what happened was, from Poland, missiles came in, and before the missile was launched, the Ukraine regular military, the right-wing group, and the mercenaries. Okay, So they put out messages on like Facebook and other social webs. Come to at 12 noon. This would have been last Sunday. Come to the admin building in Donetsk to get information about your family members who are soldiers. So this group was targeting the families of soldiers who were fighting in the People's Republic military, representing the independent states here of Russian citizens. Okay, so then they launched the missile, which was a Tochka-U missile, at 12 noon, and according to Russell, it killed 21 people immediately, and they had hundreds that were wounded. The Russian military could, backtrace it and find the location where it was fired, identify the unit that fired it and the commander, and took them out. But this is real war, and real people are dying. And the Ukraine regular military, the Azov group, and the mercenaries, and the terrorists now, the ISIS and Al-Qaeda, brought in by the shadow U.S. government, are targeting civilians. So that's going on. Now, we have Dr. William Mount is bringing this out about, we know we have a U.S. trucker convoys, thousands of people, thousands of vehicles, and they've been coming in and circling Washington, D.C. Dr. William Mount says the shadow U.S. government is seizing the assets of the truckers and their supporters, Bitcoin and their bank accounts. Shadow U.S. government. How long are we, the people, going to tolerate this? All right. So now, Dr. William Mount is saying there's two bank systems globally that transfer money between nations. One is called SWIFT and the other one is called SIPS. The SWIFT system, still used by the U.S., is serving 1 billion people, and this system is serving 8 billion. So we can see which way this is going, or we should be able to see it. Now, Dr. William Mount is saying that inside the earth, there's some earth changes going on. So heat is going up, and that's inside the earth. And I know in 2020, like in the fall, God said to me, pay attention to like the tectonic plates and the magma that's coming up in those areas, because heat is going on inside the earth. The earth is expanding. So we can look for volcanoes to be up, and the primary areas that Dr. William Mount is mentioning is under Africa and the Atlantic Ocean. So that's going on. Now, and Dr. William Mount is saying documents have already been signed between China and Taiwan for unification. And when they go in, they're going to take out the biolabs that are in Taipei. Dr. William Mount is saying that President Zelensky of Ukraine is in Miami. Okay. Now, Regis Tremblay interviewed Scott Ritter. Scott has decades of experience. He's a Marine military analyst. He says he has no ties with Russia, their government, our military. He's simply putting forth what he thinks the military strategy is of Russia, and that is to demilitarize Ukraine, take out their airstrips and other military objectives, the biolabs, take down the Azov right-wing group and the mercenaries. All right. And Scott Ritter is saying Ukraine is not a member of NATO because Ukraine is still a part of Russia. Okay. And Scott is bringing this out, which I found I hadn't heard this before. He's bringing out the size. Now, this is Ukraine, the regular military, the Azov group, mercenaries, the terrorists that have come in. So he's saying they have about 250,000 regular. They have about 350,000. That would be of this group. So that's about a force of, in Ukraine, about 600,000. And he's saying the Russian forces are 200,000. But that Russia, in their good military strategy, have taken away thousands of command centers. So this group has no top giving them orders. They have destroyed resource routes, so no fuel and food is getting to them. And they have cut off their communications between one another. So it's only a matter of time until Russia takes these groups out. Okay. Now, Scott is also saying that this group, the Ukraine group, is using civilians as shields. Okay. And he's also saying that President Zelensky, from his $34 million estate in Miami, released the prisoners inside Ukraine, and they were all given Stinger missiles. Okay. And, yeah, this is coming out. This is the weapons of mass destruction, the bioweapons for specific genetic groups, Laplanders, Finnish, Amish, and Yiddish. Okay. And there's, 15 bioweapon groups targeting specific genetic groups, and they were going to release them airborne. All right. Now, right. So this must be Gene Decode bringing out some information. So Gene Decode. He's bringing out some information about Canada. And also about Ukraine. So, yeah. Kiev, the capital of Ukraine, was also the headquarters for most of the big pharma companies. President Putin, right, cut the power to Chernobyl. Now, here's the Crimea. This is Odessa. Here's Kiev. We have Chernobyl right here. Now, multiple sources are bringing this out that you're hearing on the mainstream media there's a leak from Chernobyl, which is not true. So we can let go of that. But there are underneath Chernobyl servers, and the Russians have the servers. Yes, they relate to a lot of different things, including the event we had in the United States in November of 2020. Now, President Putin is a white hat. He's part of the alliance. And we have different groups going on. Okay. So we have, right, this was the attack on a nuclear plant inside Ukraine. Supposedly the mainstream media is saying that Russia set it on fire and tried to release the nuclear material, which is not true. The Ukraine forces tried to storm it. Russia took them out. Okay. Now this is what Jean is saying about Romana Diduolo. That she once, as in the past, had been an alliance asset. That's no longer true. The alliance is bringing a five-part indictment against Romana Diduolo. One, she said she was supposed to be queen until 2051, and then Queen of Canada, and then Queen of the World. Gene Decode says that's not true. She was put in by the alliance as a temporary person, a connection with the alliance. She had two jobs. One was to give hope to Canada, and the second was to protect the ARC ships that are in Canada. I'll go into more detail with that in the sci-fi section. She also made some statements that are not true. She said President Trump was dead, and that's not true. She also said he had left Earth a few years ago to go off-world, and then he passed away. None of this is true. And then she said that Jesus Christ is a human construct. Gene Decode says anyone who can remote view at all can go back in time and see the crucifixion. Romana Diduolo is no longer considered an asset of the alliance. So, that's going on. Yeah, she said President Trump had broken his covenant in 2018. He was no longer on Earth. No, not true. All right. Now, we have this. In that recent South Carolina rally, that was actually President Trump, himself, not a clone or a double. Now, Nancy Pelosi apparently was there and gave some kind of hand signal indicating wet work. So it was definitely an attempted assassination on President Trump. President Trump is not putting up with it, and we say, bring it. We're ready. So he's accelerating the timeline for his return, and we say, bring it. We are ready. Now, Gene is saying this, that President Putin, we've heard, is a clone or a double. Gene is saying he's not a clone. He is an interdimensional being. He's not human. Who can shapeshift and look like President Putin. It's called an energy imprint. This interdimensional being can have an energy imprint of someone's body and then project it. And from this energy body, though, the flesh and blood, President Putin, off-world, can communicate through the energy body just like President Trump has done in some of his rallies. Okay, so we do have communications from real flesh and blood people. Now, Gene Decode is saying that after President Trump returns, which we look for in May, Canada will have 3 options. Each of their provinces, it's like a state, we would understand that, have 3 choices. They can become an independent nation state, or they can vote and become a state in the Constitutional Republic of Canada, or they can become a state of the Constitutional Republic of the United States of America. So that's coming, Canada. All right. Yeah, and one thing that Russia is doing in Ukraine when they take down these mercenaries, the regular military, and is have them sign documents they won't take up arms against Russia and they can leave and go home. So, in Kazakhstan, now this is Gene Decode. He's being interviewed by Sarge of Icons. And Sarge is hearing in Kazakhstan, the leaders are fleeing. I bet they are, because the people have been in full revolt there for several months, according to Cliff High. All right. So now, Gene says they're running in Kazakhstan. They have free energy. That's going on. People are in charge. And so we have, and March 21 is a deadline for Starlink and new internet. So we look forward to that. We don't know what parts of the world are going to be involved in that, but that's one guideline. Okay. Now, the first public arrest, we understand, is supposed to be of Obama. And we heard recently he has COVID, which is usually a code for arrest. Okay. And in the Ukraine, yeah, they're going to be hooked up with Starlink equipment. All right. Now, X22 is reporting that the deep state is out of money. Now we have this. We have, Mike Penny. He was on Turn the Page with Janine. Is talking about the ship that Sal M. had also reported was an evergreen ship, and it ran aground, and that was in Baltimore, I believe, inside the United States. And it had the same, Mike Penny is reporting, it had the same driver as the Ever Given ship that ran aground in the Suez Canal back in March. Okay. So we don't know what's up with that, but we take it to be something. So we'll have to watch that for information coming out. Now, I'm picking this up from multiple sources about Walmart. Now, I know when I was young, I worked at a Walmart, and I was shown underground had tunnels, and I was told that underneath the Walmarts, they had tunnels. And that's so if the U.S. military had to put in place martial law, that they would use those tunnels to go into towns. Okay, Then I had a Patriot subscriber who said, no, I used to work at one. There's no tunnels. And then I had another Patriot subscriber who said, yes, there are, but it's at the Walmarts that have fences. Now, this Walmart is part of the shadow government, and they do have tunnels underneath them, and they are used in trafficking of certain things. Okay, illegal. All right, so now Mike Penny is bringing this out, that in the past 4 years, Walmart has had 2 CEOs, and that the people who have Walmart are being broken up. And I know from Otseva, she's an English seer. And she said in 2020, which I could hardly believe, that Walmart was going away. Now, Mike Penny is also bringing this out. Yep, it's going away. All those locations are going to be up to be sold to local businesses. So, yep, that's going away. And he's saying that, the U.S., the old dollar is going away. IRS are going away. Reserve Bank going away. Yep, that'll bring on Nasara Jassara. We're ready. Okay. Now, Israeli News Live, Stephen Ben-Nun, formerly with the CIA and now as a ministry, is bringing this out. This has to do with some information he received from a FEMA engineer that, there may be some things going on in the U.S., the shadow U.S., may try to blockade Russia, that would be at the Panama Canal and the Gibraltar Straits. But he's also bringing this information out about Walmart. He's saying that the sheriffs in local counties across the United States have been advised that Walmart is stocked, but no new stock will be coming in. So if you need something from Walmart, you might want to get it pretty soon. Okay, now let's go on to this information. Sci-Fi. All right. This is Gene Decode. And he had stated that part of the responsibility for Romana Didulo had been to protect the ARC ships in Canada. And Gene is saying there are 3 there, and they're in the sand areas. And I think I had looked that up. I had come up with this, which is near Alberta. It's a sand area. This is similar to the sand area in Ukraine where that ARC ship is activating. The ship puts out energy and it dries the soil out and it becomes a desert. So I believe this is where the 3 ARC ships in Canada are located. Now, Gene is bringing this out that the ARC ships all have, one has technology and one has like records, history and biology and genetics, all that. One has like plants and seeds. One has DNA of animals. And Gene is saying that in the Kuiper Belt, we have 15 ships inbound to the Earth, bringing all these type things, and also health med beds like that. And the are bringing the samples of DNA for animals who have lived on Earth in the past and became extinct. Same thing for plants. Now, this is where they are. So we have the sun, we have Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune. Now we know that Pluto is no longer classified as a planet, but here is the Kuiper belt. It's like icy particles or units between Neptune and Pluto. Gene says 15 arc ships are inbound, and they're inside the Kuiper belt. So they would be inside here between Neptune and Pluto. And he says that they are the blue avians, a different species who are bringing in all these technology and plants and medicine and other things for the benefit of humans. So now we have this going on. So this, Gene says, these blue avians met with President Eisenhower, and they were going to bring technology and health and other benefits in exchange for Earth getting rid of the nuclear weapons, which we understand different parties went behind the back of President Eisenhower and decided to keep the nukes and not get the good stuff. Well, that's going away. And now what we have God, we have President Trump, we have the alliance, and this involves up to 35 military governments, including President Putin, Chairman Xi, Prime Minister Modi, and others. Okay, this is the hierarchy. God operates and he's organized a hierarchy. So Gene, yeah. And we have no more nukes, and the nukes are going away, and these arc ships are coming in, and that's that. So let's go to look ahead. All right. So ShariRaye, Gene Decode. What can we look ahead to in the immediate future? Right, and that recent plane incident, that was an attempted assassination on President Trump, and he's accelerating the timeline for his return. Good. And I know that a prophetic minister, Tim Sheets, early in February, had a vision, and this was for a calendar beginning in February 6th, going all through March. And there were no dates or days of the week, but each little square on these calendars had the one word, change. And we say, bring it, Father. Now, ShariRaye is bringing this out, that Victoria Nuland in 2014 was part of the coup inside Ukraine, and I had that information from a Patriot subscriber also. And it was part of this Metabiota company, which involved Hunter Biden and the children of Nancy Pelosi, Romney, John Kerry, and others. And it also was related to a company called Black & Veatch, which had ties to the shadow part of our government, DARPA. And now, a short prayer. Okay, first, a prophecy by Kim Clement, and that was that so Kim Clement had a prophecy that God was going to put a David in the White House, which we've interpreted to mean President Trump. Now, recently, prophetic minister Tim Sheets had a word from the Lord just in the last couple of weeks. And it says, the Lord says to the ecclesia, his church, get David out of the cave. So we interpret that to mean the Lord wants us to pray President Trump in back to his proper position in our government. Okay, a cleansing prayer modeled by Gene Decode. We remove permission to be in us, on us, around us, on earth, off world, any dimension, any person, place, or thing not of God, any assemblage of fallen angels, AI, nanobot, and other forms of tech, any non-terrestrial species, spirit, thought form, operating system, genetic overlay, past, present, and future. That's right, we say get away from us in the name of Jesus. Now this prayer is based on the Passion Translation, Psalm 16, and it's entitled Resurrection. And we say, O Lord, you are our maker, our mediator, and our king. O Lord, you are our Father, giver of our inheritance. We leave our destiny and timing in your hands. Your whispers in the night give us wisdom, showing us what to do next. Because you are close to us and always available, our confidence is never shaken. We experience your wraparound presence every moment. And we say thank you, Father, Son, Jesus, whom many call Yeshua, and the Holy Spirit. And we say to our family and friends, remain steady out there, continue to pray. God is in charge, and he is on the move. I love you, and I'll see you soon.